seniors to be panelists. We've got Nick and Amanda Ahmed, the North Arizona Diamondbacks organization. Brandon Barnes, Cleveland Indians. Alyssa and Jeff Badgerow. She's the founder of Wags and Sports, and Jeff is a minor league pitching coach. Christy and Leo Hendricks, both Oakland A's organization. And Luke and Olivia Weaver. They're new to town, the Diamondbacks organization. So huge thanks for all of you guys coming up. And the way that I kind of want to kick this off is by asking a question of what do you credit to building a strong household in a sports family? So if somebody wants to take it first.
Building a strong household is probably concrete with some wood, electrical wiring. No, I think for us it's just having this, like, we have very similar interests in pretty much everything we do. We may have aspiring personalities in certain things, but like we believe in the same things. Like we both are all in on animal rescue. We're both all in on being believers. We're both all in on just like pretty much everything we do is a combined effort. And I think that's helped us out a lot, and just keeping those communications open as well, which was starting off as a struggle for me, but we've definitely closed the gap on that.
I got Mike. I guess I'll go next.
Yeah,
I think communication is so key. Especially in baseball, you can end up spending so much time apart. Being married, raising kids, I think you need to communicate. Number one, I go on a 10 to 12 day road trip like a lot of you guys obviously do, and just make sure you communicate and take care of your wife at home and check in, see how she's doing, and try to be available and present when you can. We have a lot of requests and demands of us during the season, so off season is huge to kind of recharge and connect as a family, but just being present and being available and being there for the family as the husband and someone who's away a lot, but just communicate. I think that's number one.
Awesome. And I forgot to introduce Mylon Byers. I'm having Mylon come on as basically the co-host of this to help us kind of direct the faith discussion. So I'm going to put you in the hot seat right now, and I want you to throw out a question that maybe you'd want to learn from them for yourself.
Sure. Luke. I told you I was going to put you on the spot. So, I think something interesting, like, because I know you through my friendship with Adam Wainwright, just talk about how important it is for a guy like Adam, who is a mentor to you, like a big brother, how important that is for you as a young player, and you and Olivia as a young couple, to be around Adam and Jenny and travel and just to be in the clubhouse with somebody like that every day, and more specifically, like from a faith standpoint, because I know that's a big part of your relationship between the two.
I'll go start. Well, I miss him so much. And I got traded. But it's monumental having a guy like that in your life. We grow up, and some of us are fortunate to have, our mom and dad, our dad who helped us get to this stage of our sport we're in, and grind and get us to that point. And then you start to break away from that, and you become your own man, and you want that responsibility on yourself and to get through life. And then you run into professional baseball that becomes very individualized, especially in the minor leagues, and it gets tough. And then so you have these guys you've looked up to your whole life in baseball, and role models, idols. And I don't like to use the word idol because in the Bible it says not to. So, but someone you look up to, and who you hope to be like, who you hope to someday accomplish what he's done. And he stepped into that role at a point in my life, just being a kid aspiring to have a dream in big league camp. And that relationship is blossomed into a very tight relationship. We've taken trips to Dominican Republic, to Haiti a few times, and have helped people in need and to help try to bring, you know, better life to these people as far as water and sanitation and those things. So to this day, I'll always appreciate everything he's done, not only on the field but off the field. I think he's changed my life in that aspect. And you know, the panelists talked about what you're passionate about, and like just him inviting me on a trip did that. And so we've very much so been devoted and very passionate as far as that goes.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we came up and we were younger, we were the rookies, and I mean, everybody thinks I'm 14, so I always get the awkward, am I the coach's daughter or something like that. So anyways, to have somebody like them really take you in and not treat you differently and be able to share their faith with you and just connect on that level, it was huge for us. I mean, it totally changed the transition into the big leagues and through the rest of our lives. I mean, like, we'll miss a trip to Haiti anymore. And we never would have had the opportunity without knowing them. So, I don't know, just really cool. They're great people.
Now, Alyssa, you have the Tweety Wags in your life, and you're able to, I'm sure, you've heard a lot of different stories of needs and tough situations that families have been going through. Is there a consistent, I guess, struggle that families have been going through that you've heard that maybe it might have surprised you, or is just so consistent that needs to figure out a way to solve it?
I think the biggest thing is that people just want to feel connected and seen. And, you know, this life can be kind of crazy. Nobody at home, none of your friends in, you know, regular life and family, they're never going to fully understand it, even if they really want to, and even if they really try. So my goal is to always connect women in the game with other women in the game, whether it's on their team or if I know somebody. You know, I get private messages all the time, you know, I'm going through this thing and I don't want to put it out there publicly. Do you know anyone else who's struggling with this or who's going through this? And I have been around long enough that I can typically connect them with somebody. And so it's really, I think, connecting people behind the scenes, just like common struggles. You know, last year was a crazy year with the free agency, like so many people not being signed. That was a big deal. But I think right now it's just wanting to not feel like you're the only one going through something.
And as far as like on the marital standpoint, is being separated for that long in a season is straining, I feel like, both on your relationship and maybe even also your relationship and your faith as well. So how are you able to keep that strong, maybe keep that flame alive, and maybe keep that strength in your relationship? What are some things that you, everybody up here, has been able to do within your own relationships to keep that strength in your relationships?
Well, it's funny, you know, now when we put that question out there, everyone's, you know, talking about doing FaceTime dates and just really being intentional about that. And but like we're really old, and so like when we were first dating and you know, going through the long distance thing the first time, there was no texting. You know, we wrote like actual letters to each other. So I have like stacks of letters at home, which is really cool to have now. But you know, we really made a commitment to do that. And so just whatever form of communication, you know, you want to use, I think that's just being intentional about it is a big deal.
What about you, Kristen?
Wow. I think that one one of the biggest things you can do as a wife or a girlfriend or fiance when your significant other is traveling is do something for yourself. Because when you actually are passionate about something other than your husband's stats or where is he going, what's he doing, I think that that really helps keep you connected. Because when he comes home from the field or when he comes home from a road trip, you don't want to talk about the things that necessarily didn't go right or wish you could do better, do over, the comment you made to the media that somehow just, you know, didn't go over so well. So I think that the way we stay connected is I own a small business. It's an online store, and we have different things to talk about. So it allows us to communicate about things that aren't necessarily just the game. And one of my taglines that I use for my store is married to the game. And it's so funny because I'm like, gosh, I'm so married to the game. Yet when I'm with my husband, I want to talk about anything but the game. And I think that that's refreshing for him, and that's the way we tend to keep our spark alive. And don't get me wrong, I mean, and he'll tell you flat out, I'll tell him exactly what went wrong if he really wants to know. But I was a figure skater, so I'm, you know, attention to detail. But I think that just having different things to communicate and having different passions that aren't just necessarily game included is huge for us, at least as a partnership.
I think like Nick mentioned earlier, communication. I do something where like if he's packing for a road trip, well, I pack half and he packs the rest, but I'll leave like little notes in hidden spots that I know he'll look. Like I know he's gonna open his journal at night or his Bible. So I'll leave like either verses, depending on what the week was like if he's going through a struggle or I know just certain areas that he's trying to improve. I do that a lot, but FaceTime and we have 2 kids now, so it's even harder with kids because he calls me to talk and I'm buried in diapers or Paw Patrol's blasting in the background. So yeah, just communication would be like the biggest thing, I think.
Well, Brandon, Sean's not here right now. So right now, even like you're in the midst of it. You can also say anything you want right now, since Sean's not here.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tougher. You know, this is my 15th year in the game, and you know, when I started, we just got engaged at 19 years old, and so she kind of rode this wave with me. We've been in this game together, so we've been able to journey through it together. Now we're at a point where we don't get to see each other for months at a time. I have 2 daughters, so 7 and 4, so they're in school full time doing dance, and you know, it's hard to leave. It's a lot harder now when your kids know what's going on and they know that the countdown's begun. But for us, it's constantly, you know, I think I just got a text message saying it's bedtime, but FaceTime is huge. Just being able to communicate with the kids, especially, you know, and then just our relationship will strengthen everything else, and just communicating through, you know, when I get a break through the day, like seeing how she's doing and what's going on in her life. So it's not just more about the game.
That'd be my next question, is for those of you that have kids. So I feel like that's even tougher, especially with younger kids, having that separation during the season for those first few years of their life. What have you done, or what would you say worked for you as far as being able to still build those relationships, still being able to have those special moments together, and maybe have even missed some of those big moments in their lives? How have you been able to, I guess, structure that?
It's taking every moment you get with them and enjoying that moment. Because in this game, you don't get great moments throughout the season. I think last year, I saw him for a week in spring training, and then I saw him for maybe 3 weeks throughout the season. But it's just, you know, when you get that time with them, when they come into say Arizona for spring training, you try to do everything I can with them. Build those moments so that they have those moments with dad, and that they understand that dad's there for them. And talk about what they're into. Like dance is huge. It's the only thing in their life right now. That's all they think. My daughter twirls around all day long. So I get out there and I'll do twirls with her. You know, it's building those moments and having those moments when you don't get as many moments with them that you think you should have.
I would just say we pack everything up and we go on the road. We said when we got married, like, we're not gonna do the distance thing. So who knows when school starts, we'll figure that out. But we throw everything in the car or in the suitcases and we get on Southwest, because you can cancel it anytime you want. And we go, or like, for instance, he's at the spring training facility and has a break, so I'll take, we have a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old, so I take the 2-year-old and we'll go see him for 5 minutes, and he thinks it's like the best part of his day, and so does Nick, actually, because now he's at the age where he's saying like, where's Daddy? Oh, he's playing baseball, and I tell Nick that and it breaks his heart, so yeah, I try to travel as much as I can. I think it's huge, even for the kids, because Jack was born in July and he never is at a birthday party. His first birthday party he missed, his second birthday party he missed, so I know it's tough on Nick more than it is actually on the kids, so what did you think?
Yeah, I'd say the same kind of thing, kind of Brandon was touching on too. Like, our older son's getting a little bit older and he's getting into some things now. His own personality is developing, and just me taking an interest in what he likes. You know, I know Brandon's talking about doing twirls with his daughter. You know, my son loves to go out play in the sand with trucks right now, so every minute I get with him, you know, when I'm not at the field, I'm trying to do that, you know. So just being intentional with my time and doing things that I know he likes and he's going to like, and making it special for him, and try to do that with the whole family as well, and kind of get everybody, you know, doing things and getting out of the house, and you know, even if it's just going for a walk for 10 minutes and getting the kids outside, and her and I getting to talk as we walk about our day and what's been going on. And putting the phone down. That's tough.
That's a good one.
You know, we're talking about the marketing stuff and the branding and all that, and I'm just kind of starting to get into that a little bit, I guess, but just being intentional about throwing the phone in the drawer when you get home, and putting on airplane mode at night, and just being with the family and staying off the phone, and doing the things that you need to do to be a dad and a husband and a wife and all that.
That's a great point. I asked my son this off season, I'm a coach, by the way, not a player, but I asked him, I said, if there's one thing you could change about me, I said, be brutally honest. I won't get mad, I won't be upset. Huh? He's 11, going on 12. And I said, one thing you could change about me, what would it be? He said, I wish you'd put your phone down. It like crushed me, because like I'm on it, but I'm not on it crazy, but obviously I am in his eyes, so. But that changed it for me, you know. But to going along with what everyone's talking about as far as your kids and what do you do on the road, and, we've done everything. We've had the kids in school, coaching-wise. She's homeschooled for parts of 3 years, just because we didn't want to be apart. It was hard from like ages 5 to 8, I think, 5 to 9. She was a champ. She just, I'm going to figure this out. She got online and she got all this stuff, and unbelievable. So they're back in school now just because it works for our family, but everyone's different. That was our season of life. But when we were together, I mean, we went to every city, and all the coaches prior to where we were would be like, oh, this place sucks. This place sucks. And like, one of them was Missoula, Montana. It does not suck. It's awesome. So beautiful in the summer. And then the other one was Visalia, which a lot of people think sucks, but there is a lot of beauty out there. So we intentionally find spots to go and travel and jump off rocks, and you know, so we have to make that time.
I love that. It's those going further kind of on those moments, like on the struggles that maybe the spouse is going through while you're on the road, talking about co-parenting, and while you're in those situations, and how you kind of handle those conversations for maybe issues at school, maybe issues of acting out, where the spouse is the only one that's at home with it. Is there a way that you're able to involve your husband in that from afar? And what strategies have you done that have worked?
I try to just pick good timing. If there's something going on where he's not, doesn't have like everything crazy going on in his world. I'm not always very good at it. I was driving home. We'd flown back for school in August, and I had this car that I had just driven forever, and all the seals had kind of worn down on the top of the car. And I was driving, and it was thunderstorming, and water is just pouring in my car, like through the roof and on my feet. And I call him, and I'm saying, I'm driving, and there's rain, and it's wet, and I need a new car. And he's like, I'm in California, like I was in Texas. He's like, what am I supposed to do right now, And so that was like an example of what not to do. Like, I should not have called him in that moment. But so I just try to think of like, if something's kind of going crazy at home, just try to pick like a time that things aren't going crazy for him, and just have a time that we can talk about it.
Anybody else? And even it doesn't have to just be on the kid's perspective either. Like stuff that's happening at home in the wife's life. Like stuff that you're going through. Is there a way that you found as far as communication helps to be able to talk about those things from afar?
I'll share something here. I don't know what it's like to be a full-time mom and be at home with 2 young kids, but I know it's really, really hard. So I try to take the kids off her hands at times and push her, like Christy was saying, to get out and do something for herself, when she is drowning in diapers or Paw Patrol or whatever it is. But just encouraging her to do that. We can talk about identity a lot in our faith. We can get wrapped up in it in the game. I think we can get wrapped up in parenting. Just making sure our identity's in the right place. It can be really hard. We know what it's like in the game. You can get sucked in really quickly, throw all your identity in that. But just making sure that even if it is a full-time mom for a season, that she is having things for herself and getting out of the house and letting me handle the kids for a little while.
Yeah, for me it's bedtime. I get home after 6, 7, 8 months of playing this game, and she's been doing everything, right? Taking the kids to school, making lunches, taking them to dance practice. And so for the 4-month off season, I take the kids everywhere. We do things as a family, but I wake up with the kids, I get them dressed, I make them breakfast. I want to take that load off her, for 4 months out of the year. So it's just attention to making it easier on her life for the little time we get to spend with them, doing little things, taking out the trash, just things that she has to do all by herself when I'm gone. So those 4 months, I try to take on every duty I can. I give her the opportunity to tell me if I'm slacking, let me know. And so it's worked out for us. And I just want to let her know that I'm here for her in that off season.
Kind of going back to the faith. I know everybody here with Brandon we've never met, but given that, when you talk about your faith, there's so much, as married people that we grow together, and it so informs how we're living our lives day to day. But when you're apart, you have to be really intentional about those things. So what are some things that you could share that have been helpful to you? How do you connect when it might be a quick phone call, it might be through text only for a day? Encourage one another. Just maybe some tools that other people could immediately implement.
For us, it's constantly sharing Bible verses. If she knows I'm having a bad day, she can see it on the stat line that night. She'll just throw a verse my way and just, kind of hit me with it. And, when I know she's struggling at home, being an everyday mom where it's just, the world feels like everything's on top of her, I'll kind of talk to her and, shoot her a Bible verse or try to just do something that lets her know that, you know, our faith is bigger than all of this, and we just got to keep going and keep pounding through it.
I think for us, something that helps us a lot during season is participating in the team's Bible studies. We have a wives Bible study, and then the men have their own. And we're lucky enough that in Oakland, a lot of times our studies go one-on-one with each other. So it actually gives us some conversation to use. I think that that is a huge thing, that if you've never actually went to a chaplain, they're a great resource for you, because not only do they help you with whatever's going on, they also, you know, they won't share that with anyone else. And on top of that, they know the city better than anyone. They live there full time. So if you know, are questioning, where should I live, what should I eat, things like that, they're a really great resource. And I've luckily become really good friends with a lot of our chaplains' wives. And so orchestrating through Bible studies, it's critical for our relationship. And then in the off season, I think we try to go to church every Sunday. It doesn't always happen that way because of weddings in the off season. As baseball couples know, you are out of state a lot and you're going everywhere. So a lot of times we, instead of sending Bible verses to each other, we really dig worship music, and that's kind of where we really connect. We both really just have a thing for music, and so that's where we really can share our day of, this is the vibe I'm feeling, so, you know, don't step to me type thing, or I really need some extra prayer right now, and, you know, and you can hear that through song. So that's kind of where we go with it.
Sometimes the music's not always worship music.
Yes.
Sometimes if I'm having a bad day, it's a little bit of metal. And if she's having a bad day, it's hip hop and R&B.
That's every day.
But it's one of those things that we connect through music, we connect through other things, but it's just, it always helps me if I'm having a bad day or anything like that. Just a photo. We don't have kids, we have fur babies, we have 6 animals. So it helps just seeing a photo that her mom has sent her of the cats. We got 4 cats. Or her sending a photo of the dogs. We have 2 dogs. One's mine, one's hers, but she usually sends me photos of hers to see photos better. But it's just just those little things that tie you back down and realize, okay, I may have had a bad inning, a bad outing, a bad little stretch that I'm in now, but there is so much more to us than me playing baseball and throwing this little leather-bound thing around. It's just having that connection of okay, we get it, it's important, but take a step back. This is what's more important. Focus on that. Everything else you put in the hard work, you do everything right, it'll turn out for the best.
And just really quickly too, I think it's huge to, when you are in the off season, to have a home church. Liam is extremely close with our pastor from Summit Church. If any of you ever end up in Fort Myers, Florida for spring training, Summit Church is an epic place to go. And I think that honestly, Orlando has saved our marriage multiple times, as well as PAO. If you've never been, Professional Athletes Outreach, that's a great place to go. We actually met the Weavers there, so it's fantastic. But yeah, so I think that just have that connection, regardless of what it is, when it ties you down to who you truly are as a person. When they were talking about branding earlier, they were saying you need to be organic. And I think in baseball, a lot of times organic can be lost because it's just the constant need for, a low ERA, or I think it's a high batting average. Things like that. But I think that just those things that bring you back to earth, and I know that our home pastor and our home church has done that for us. Also being involved in charities, that really keeps you solid in your faith as well.
Well, and just using the resources that are out there. So like she said, baseball chapel, there's a chaplain in every major league city and in a lot of minor league cities. And there's daily devotionals, both for women and for men. They're different. And then the Pro Athletes Outreach. So there's a conference every year, and that just is an incredible place to connect and strengthen your marriage and relationships in the game. But marriage is a big part of that. And so I think just using the resources that are there for you, and those organizations are there to help you. And there's one other one, it's called Unlimited Potentials Incorporated?
It's UPI.
UPI. So, but those three kind of work in tandem, and they're all there for you.
There's actually an app for more the guys, but anyone can use it. Like, doesn't have to be wives or just anybody. UPI Grow is one of the apps. I started doing it. I'm not saying this to brag. It's just something talking about the family. I was feeling really convicted because my son and daughter both came to know Christ last summer, and were baptized. We got to baptize them in the ocean on our All-Star break. It was legit. It was awesome. But we got crushed by waves. It was not ideal spot, but it was still pretty cool. Anyways, but so trying to grow his faith and just have good conversations and kind of stir his mind a little bit, we started using that UPI Grow app, which is for professional athletes, doing a little daily reading thing, and he'll either FaceTime questions, because let's face it, it's the Bible's tough. It's tough. There's a lot of tough stuff in there. And so he'll FaceTime me questions or stuff he's learning, what he read, and he's actually killing me in this little reading plan we're doing. So I need to pick it up.
I'll just add, I think doing things together is really, really important. Over the last bunch of years, Amanda and I have really found that we've grown individually, especially during the season. You know, the wives have their own things with the wives chaplain. You know, we have our own things within the team with our chaplain, with the group of guys we have, but we don't necessarily have that time and that fellowship with other people and other believers during the season. The off season obviously is easier. You know, you have time to get to church and get connected with people on a different level when you're not playing 162 games and flying all over the country. So I think God gave me the crazy idea this year to start doing some stuff together. You know, getting the families and the wives together. You know, on Sundays, you know, after a day game. You know, just having a meal together, digging into a Bible study together, and as a family, and getting people involved doing that together as a couple. I think that's a huge way to grow. You know, I think everybody knows, it's no secret that really good teams have good camaraderie. They spend time together. They have chemistry. And in a marriage, that's the same thing. Like, you're never going to grow. The same thing with your relationship with Jesus. You're not going to grow if you don't spend time together doing things that you want to be doing and things that are going to help you grow. So just trying to find ways to be intentional to do things as a unit, as a family, is really important. It's hard during the season, but you got to get creative and try to do those things.
We'll open it up to questions and kind of conversation with everybody else. Is there anybody that has a question about anything that's been talked about, or even something that's completely off what we've been talking about? Mike?
Yeah, so I have a question about resources within your organization, from team to team to team. As a Marine, every unit that we're with, we have a person in our unit that's a designated family readiness officer, and they're typically a spouse of an active duty member who knows the game. And a lot of you have talked about growing up together and learning the game together. So you guys have the season, we have workups, exercises, and deployments, right? So when you're gone, is there somebody that's staffed within the organization that your significant other can go to ask the questions so that you don't have to? Is that a thing?
Yeah, so we have, in every organization in the major leagues, you have a wives liaison that she will have information for, say, hospitals, medical, anything like that, as also just where the men are staying, because sometimes your husband just leaves or they get called up and you have no idea what team hotel they're in, and you have no idea because they're on a flight, you can't reach them. I will say every organization's wives liaison is very different. You have some that have been in the game for a very long time, and they're almost like the mother hen. They will do anything for you, they will help you. And then you have some that are newbies straight out of college, and they're not as helpful, but I think it's more of an intimidation thing, that they don't want to step on any of the wives' toes who have, say, been veteran wives for a while, and then things get lost in translation. Also, the wives can contact the travel secretary for any team at any time, which I usually go to the travel secretary, just on this team in particular. But in previous teams, it's just dependent on who you're most comfortable with. But yeah.
You should see our travel secretary. Boys, he got like a Paul McCartney back in the 70s haircut. That's a wig.
Very nice.
Really nice. Name's Mickey. Talks like,
That's super great.
But he does his job and he does a really good job. But I had to add that bit because it's awesome.
You have to have the picture.
Covers down, comes out about here. It's like a young Bieber.
To kind of come up, like talking about an organizational structure, and I'm thinking about the same thing. That's one of the questions that I wanted to ask, just kind of learn from you guys for myself, is within your relationship, and especially being apart, is there a type of communication that you guys have had at some point where you know that this person might be responsible for this person and this, or for these things, and this person might be responsible for these things, and if so, how have you gone about having that conversation? How have you gone about deciding those based on strengths? What is it? I'm just curious based off your relationships.
Bills and stuff?
Everything, yeah.
I'll do it, and then she'll really do it right. And then we figure it out. It's usually a trial by fire. So there's certain things that I'm good at, like taking the trash out, until when she tells me to take the trash out. But I think it's just one of those things. It's like, we know each other's strengths, we know each other's weaknesses, and it's just about finding that ebb and flow and allowing each other to kind of take off and fly, and the other person just like, I know I'm driving everywhere because I like to drive. Plus, I don't drink, so she's always got a DD. But there's certain things that we know, like she's gonna take care of the travel stuff and everything else because she's gonna know what hotels to stay at, what airlines to fly with, what's gonna give us the best deal, what's gonna be the best bang for your buck. Whereas I'm gonna choose the first place and be like, okay, let's go 5 stars, it's under $100 a night, let's do that one. So we were staying in a lot of Motel 8s, buying our own sheets like I did in spring training one year because it was a plastic mattress. The glory life.
I usually kind of handle all the bills and everything in our family, and that's not because I'm good at math, because I am not good at math. But I just feel like if that's one thing that I can take off of his plate, I'm happy to do it. Also, it's great in the off season when he walks the dogs and I can get some work done on my computer. You just kind of go off of, I think that, I don't remember who said it, someone said it down here, that they try to do everything in the off season so that Brandon said it, so you try to do everything in the off season so that your wife feels helped. And I think that's huge as a wife in the game, is to just feel that help. So if I can help him during season, it's really nice when he helps me in the off season. And that's for your own marriage, that's for your own relationship, on what you're comfortable sharing and what you're comfortable doing. And we don't have children, so that's one less responsibility for us. But when it comes to bills, I do it. When it comes to trash, he usually does it. Things like that. I do the laundry during season. In the off season, I'm thankful when he does his own. Like the little things like that, it's just, I'm very grateful for in my heart because it's just nice.
The last question that I kind of wanted to ask is your family legacy. And when you think about that and what it is that your family legacy is, it's not just one person, it's the two of you, what you're leaving behind for your kids, what you're leaving behind for everybody else's. And how have you gone about, within your relationship, being able to converse and create a plan and know exactly what it is that the two of you are trying to accomplish here, to be able to do together, that's able to build that kind of legacy that you'd be proud of, that you would want to leave behind?
For my family, I think what we want to leave behind is 2 children that make this world better. So it's raising those kids right. It's seeing that their dad and their mom have an unbelievable relationship, because I think in a family, as a husband, I have to love my wife more than anything. It's more than my kids, it's more than anything. So that my daughters know what real love looks like. And so it's, for my legacy is seeing these two little human beings grow into someone that can help this world love and just share their beauty inside them and everything that they have passion for.
What about the Ahmeds? We'll just go down the line.
I don't know. I mean, I've done a lot of, I guess, soul searching within the game, just trying to understand, you know, the game matters. We all care about it. I don't know if there's anybody who cares about it more than I do, to a certain degree. But the game is just a game. You know, we're all going to be done playing at some point. You know, don't want to necessarily talk about it, but we're all going to die at some point. We're all going to stand before God at some point. So to get my family, my kids, my extended family, my friends, everybody who I'm close with, to kind of just take a step back and understand, like, hey, what are we here for? You know, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? Is it just to be the best baseball player we can be? You know, is it to raise money philanthropically? Like, what are we here for? And for us, you know, it's all about Jesus. You know, He's the reason we're all here. We're all going to have to make a decision about Him one day. So, you know, I just want my two boys, when they grow up, you know, to know how I feel and to know how He's changed my life. And we're talking about the legacy and the branding and the story. I think that's how people's lives get changed, you know, to share your story. So, you know, that's what I want to do. I want my wife to do. I want my kids to end up doing one day, is to share their story and make an impact here, you know, in this earth, like Brandon's talking about, but also beyond that as well. You know, because we're all going to not be here at some point, which is, you know, something that, you know, I don't like thinking about, but we have to. So that's where we're at.
With the Weavers. Albert.
No, two great points over there. I think about it just kind of in simple terms. It's like the Bible being an instruction manual. So basically everything is in there, and it's going to lead you to where you need to be. And so the legacy is taking what it says and applying it to our lives, and hopefully feeding the best way we can into our children's. And then one day they can make the decision for themselves to do the same, and then they'll know exactly what to do. And so there can be this cycle from generation to generation that are just led by such amazing words in this book. And there won't be ever any moments where they won't know where to go, because it'll be right there. So to me, it's just gets me fired up, because there's just so much power in a book that just has so many words, that just tell so many stories, that relate so well. And we just hope through these experiences that past human beings had and thankfully documented, that we can better ourselves and hopefully better this world.
So right now, when, like, if you were to Google my name, it would come up with a baseball player. I don't want that to be what I'm remembered for. Baseball is, for me, an avenue. I do it because I love the game of baseball, but I don't want that to be what defines me. My legacy, I would love to be something that is my off-the-field contributions, a good marriage, hopefully, depending on if we've talked about this yet, kids in the future. But it's just like, we've done so much. I want to be able to affect the lives of people that we've worked with. Like, we did a Pink Shirt Day, which is an anti-bullying campaign out of Canada. I want someone to have seen that, and that has changed their life, because I think you were bullied as a kid, I was bullied as a kid. It's just, I never fit into a group, and it was a struggle, but I'm hoping that caused me to do what I'm doing now, and getting out and changing the lives of other people. we deal with animal rescue. So I'm hoping that someday some owner hears me talk about something and changes the lives of their dogs, which then changes the other, like just owners' lives throughout anything. We do a lot with striking out poverty and feeding the hungry and everything like this. I hope that those kids get their bellies fed, that gets them the strength to be able to do things that change the world themselves. It's just that trickle effect, that butterfly effect. I want to be known for my philanthropic, I want to be known for the off-the-field issues. But I want to be known as stuff that it didn't create any sort of talent to do. It's just being a good person going out there and changing the world and doing what you can to change this bit that could have that trickle effect to the next bit. It just keeps flowing and expanding, and that's what I want to be known for, and I'm assuming my wife wants to be known as the same thing. Just all of our off-the-field contributions, we want to be known as those people rather than like, oh, he was a baseball player. I want to be known as someone who was not only a baseball player, but he helped change the world of this.
When he was done playing, he was out of the game for a couple of years, and we were just trying to kind of figure out what was next. And he went into ministry, and we just knew it wasn't the right thing. It wasn't the right fit, and we just really felt called back into baseball. And so we kind of had this moment where, you know, I was missing the game, he was missing the game, but we knew it wasn't about baseball. We knew that God had put baseball in our hearts for a reason, and we were gonna figure out what that was. And we just really felt like God had called us into baseball. And so no matter what that meant, we knew that God had us there for a reason. And so he's been coaching now this is his 9th season coaching, and we've been in some hard places, and it's not easy coaching in the minor leagues and being in, you know, random cities and taking your kids around, and it's been a struggle, and but we can always look back and know that like God has called us into this, and every season we can look back and see the things that he has done through our time there, and with that team and with those people, things that we never could have expected, and relationships that we never could have anticipated. And so he's doing work, and we're seeing that work just through the avenue of baseball. And so we're just trying to be obedient, you know, season by season. Like, we don't know where you're going to call us next, but we're going to go, and we're going to do our best. And at the end of the season, we're going to be able to look back and see the work that he's doing through just our obedience. And so that's just kind of how we approach baseball now on this side of it. And it really helps when things get hard, because things get hard in minor league coaching. And but it helps to know that God has us there for a reason, and he's always faithful.
That's pretty good. I don't need to talk good. I mean, personally, I've made about $1.7 thousand in this game, so I'm not doing it for the money. I didn't have a ton of time in the big leagues. I do what I do because I love what I do. I love helping people get to the next level, taking something and making them a little bit better, finding something in the data or their body movements to make them better. So on that level, that's why I do what I do. As far as our family goes, I mean, we are in this together, and if anyone out there doesn't look at it that way, like, you kind of have to reevaluate where you're at, because that's huge. If you guys aren't on the same page or the same team, it's really tough to make it work. You know, if your spouse doesn't like baseball or understand it, you know, it can definitely work, but it's one of those things where you got to kind of learn a little bit too and ask questions, because, I mean, I can come home and show her video of mechanics in one of my pictures, and she'll nod her head and go, oh yeah, I can see the difference. And whether she can or can't, I appreciate her effort. You know? I think she can. She's pretty athletic. But anyways, I mean, my life was radically altered 16 years ago. And whatever you believe, you know, that's fine. But mine was altered by a Middle Eastern Jewish man. Like, my life changed. And so I can't go back. Like, I can't. And I'm a normal dude. I live my life. You know, I'll go have a beer with you. I'm a completely normal dude. I'm not a Bible thumper. but I will never change who I am or what I've come to realize and what Jesus did for all of us. But we are all flawed individuals, everyone in this room, hugely flawed. And that will never change either, but I know I was forgiven. That's why I do what I do, and that's why we, do this together. That's how I try to live our lives. And we want our kids to be lights in this world, and I think, they're starting to become that. So it's pretty cool that, we all share that, and appreciate you guys listening.
That's a great place to end it. That's perfect. I appreciate you guys giving the input and being able to have this discussion, taking the time out of your nights, and some of you taking the time away from your families for the night. I think it's a good value add. So with that, thank you so much for showing up.